Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Hacking with Friends and another Q&A where we are fully live. My name is Kody Kinsey. I'm a security researcher at Varonis and the host of this show. And today we're also doing this with Michael, our junior camera servant.
I like Lifeguard better, actually. Let's go back to Lifeguard. That one sounds
soon
like...
to be Production Blood Sacrifice.
Dun, dun, dun.
We're very serious about production here. All right, so today we're here to take some of your questions. I noticed there are a lot more questions that have been left on the YouTube channel, which we really appreciate because right before the show, we go through and we pick all of the ones we think are really good, or at this point, just pretty much all of them, and we put them together so we'll make sure to respond to them on the show. So if you have any great questions between this show and the next one, maybe you don't get yours answered, make sure to leave them on the YouTube channel because we see all of them and we love responding to them, both in writing, in the comments, and then on the show. So,
yeah,
also, we see there's a lot of people in the stream today. So hello to Zam, Dead Skull, Aiden Torres, Joseph, Void, Steve, Sir W, and the list goes on.
And
it's great to see all of you guys, and we have a lot of regulars. So if you guys have been in some of our previous streams, thank you so much. We love getting to know you guys as you get to know us.
And if you're watching the recorded version of this stream, the best way to get us to respond to your comment is to paste a comment in the bottom of this video, and that's usually where we draw these comments from, as well as, you know, live chat.
What is HTML? First question goes out to James. I learned this when I was in middle school. It's Hypertext Transfer Language, right?
Something like that.
Markdown language, sorry. Hypertext Markdown language. I learned it once and then forgot it.
Nice.
All right, yeah. Markup language.
Speaking of comments, do we want to do some of those?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so we have a list of some of the questions that we picked from the YouTube stream. Hopefully we'll answer those better.
Could you please guys make these videos to a podcast like on Spotify and other streaming services? That will be dope. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, so I feel like for most of these Q&As, it would be pretty easy for us to just turn this into a podcast. We actually had a podcast. Do you remember that podcast?
Yeah, the Security Tools
Yeah, so
podcast.
if you guys want to look it up, we actually have a podcast. It's the Security Tools podcast. And we put it on pause because no one is driving anywhere anymore.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's a lot more fun to be able to do stuff where we can kind of show you. Although I have to say, I had some great interviews on the podcast. And if you want to hear from some really cool researchers like Patrick Wardle, and oh my gosh, there were so many people on that podcast that were great.
Alex Lynn.
We had Adrian from Canary Tokens. We had, oh my gosh, we had a lot of really great interviews on it. So we kind of put it on pause because we create a ton of content on this channel and we want to make sure that we always have new stuff, and that takes a lot of research. So we weren't really able to do both. But we might be able to convert some of these over to a podcast, provided that it's not a bunch of on-screen stuff.
And there's at least 2 of those podcasts as videos on the channel already. I'm working on converting the rest of the podcasts into videos just so that they're easily accessible and stuff.
And also hello to Michael.
Yes, Mr. General Sergeant Supreme Commander. That's a good one. I've started a new thing.
What's my opinion of the new remote code execution bug on Discord? I haven't read through it yet. I've shunned Discord. I'm sad to say, after originally using it to create all of my community college like student clubs and stuff, I just got overwhelmed by it, and the sheer amount of notifications and stuff and also their data retention policy kind of turned me off to it. So I actually kind of stopped using it overall. So I haven't been too up on the exploits, but I know that Discord is used by so many different groups of people that it is definitely a target. So yeah, I need to read up on it, I guess would be my response, but it doesn't surprise me because it's a huge target because so many groups of gamers and tech people use it just because it's so easy for like non-tech people to install.
You got another question, or shall
I let's roll the first one from the, or the second one from the channel.
Yes. You put 8 passwords in. Which one was the correct one? So of course it's gonna pick it up. In order to hack a Wi-Fi password, you need thousands upon thousands of passwords on a password list.
So we get this criticism a lot. Anytime we do a video where we do brute force cracking of a Wi-Fi password, we try to be respectful of your time a little bit and like strike a balance between like picking a really big password list and just showing you guys how the tools work. So yes, in order to successfully crack a Wi-Fi password, it helps to have a really big password list, or use a password list you create that's custom, which we're actually going to do a
And
stream
on today's episode of Hacking with Friends, we watched John the Ripper for 8 hours.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So I have done, you guys, I've made this MacBook Pro so hot before, where I have like used a billion word password list, and like, yes, you can get the password, but I didn't think that you guys would want to watch this. Obviously, my friend here disagrees and would prefer to see the real deal, but unfortunately, the truth is it takes a lot of time or a little bit of money on like Amazon services or something to crack this stuff. So
that's a very incredibly easy live stream to do, though. We should do that for like April
if you guys want to watch us just sit here and wait for Hashcat to like finish cracking something for like
just
6
10 hours.
Yeah, like we'll do
Why
it.
not?
You know, we'll put on a movie in the back, and then it'll be taken down then.
Oh no, I'll just put static images of us that are animated.
Yeah, so we're like barely on Twitch, but I think we still got like a takedown notice.
Wait, what?
Because there was like a song softly playing in a video or something. Basically, everybody on Twitch just got a copyright takedown notice. So
oh yeah, I heard about like the what DCA or whatever strike.
Yeah, but we have no idea which one it was
that happened to like all the streamers.
Yeah. So that was very funny. But okay, all right. I think we.
Okay. Thank you for the info. I just started learning about OSINT. I was wondering if you could do a video on how to properly use Buscador and all of its features. Keep up the great work, guys.
Okay, so we used to recommend Buscador because it was a really great way for beginners to get started learning OSINT. You basically just download this virtual machine, and then through spinning it up, you're able to have all the tools you need to get started. It's pre-configured. It has all this nice stuff. It's really, really nice. So the person who created it, Mike Bazal, decided that he didn't want to maintain it anymore, which I understand. He makes a living via these trainings, and like having a pre-set up thing, as well as being responsible for maintaining it, is a totally different side project that takes a lot of maintenance and effort. And frankly, being a one-man band when it comes to maintaining a Linux distro is not a lot of fun. So he now has replaced that with a checklist of customizations for creating your own virtual machine. We're going to cover it at sometimes, but guys, it is not the same as just opening up a virtual machine and having it run. It's like basically doing this manually.
There's like a whole like page of stuff you have to do,
It's 3 pages.
It's insane.
Of steps to do it. So you're basically creating your own ultra secure, virtual machine, and it is really cool. I will say that. I just think, like for example, I have OSINT training like coming up for journalists and stuff, and like I'm probably gonna have to scrap it because it's just too heavy for them. Like they don't. Their eyes kind of glaze over at the first page, and after that, like I would have to come up with some sort of like distraction to get them to pay attention through the entire thing, as opposed to some of these 50, 60-year-old journalists are like spinning up a virtual machine for the first time. Like I don't want to make it any harder for them. So I'm sorry to say it's no longer that easy, and I do not recommend using Buscador anymore. The reason being, it's not maintained, so there's going to be vulnerabilities, and if you find it on the internet, it may have stuff added to it, so there's no secure distribution anymore. So let me unequivocally say, Buscador is dead. Do not use it. If you have a local version, that's fine, cool, but if you're trying to find it on the internet, it's very likely that it has malware or something nasty in it, because it's no longer being distributed by the original distributor. So very sad. I really, really want there to be some successor to come out that like takes the place of that, because I thought it was such a great concept for press, journalists, like anybody. Tails OS is kind of like a sort of replacement, but
Tails OS is more like privacy focused than like OSINT, though.
Yeah, which is kind of a bummer. So I want to take a live question. How do I convince Spacetune to compile Huhnitor for Arch64/RPi? That's a great question. So the Huhnitor, for those who don't know, is a Rust-based cross-platform tool for controlling the ESP8266 loaded up with the dauthor software. So it basically allows you to just plug it into your computer. This program automatically detects it, which is super cool. You don't even have to find it on the system. And it allows you to be able to just use it like a wireless network adapter to scan stuff, find targets, monitor things, and deauth stuff. So really cool. So I didn't know that it wasn't compatible, but now I do. The reason I chose to take this is I think that our friend Howdy Burgers is his hacker name, James, could probably help. He's the one who actually developed this tool, And he's done incredible work on making this as cross-platform as possible. So I actually wasn't aware that it didn't work on the Raspberry Pi. I'll have to try it and see if I can replicate that. But if not, then I will call in James and see if he is able to take a look at that and get it working. Because the whole point of the Huhnitor is Rust is supposed to be cross-platform and work really, really well. So as many different devices as it can work on, the better.
Cool. I should probably be in the chat looking for more questions
yeah, but I'll
as
take
well.
another one, which is just, would you recommend reading RTFM, Red Team Field Manual? I've seen I haven't read it myself. A lot of people say it's really good, and I've seen some people who are smarter than me say that it's a great read. So I'm going to say, as just a third-party endorsement, yeah, like it sounds like a lot of other people in the security profession that focus more on red teaming than I do really, really like it. And actually, I should probably pick one up. I was thinking about getting one the other day. Can you help me, please? I can't use OpenVPN on Parrot OS. That is so specific, buddy. I don't know what hardware you're using. So generally, like, we can't answer very many technical questions. Like, if something's failing, we don't write these tools. We just, like, show the general setup for how to use them. So if you're having, like, an out-of-norm experience, you need, like, the number one skill for every hacker is finding out how to resolve a problem yourself. If you can learn how to Google or Yandex or Bing your way out of a problem, just by copying the error perhaps and putting it into Google and seeing what the most recent error was, making sure perhaps to discard everything that's older than a year because it's useless, then I would think that you are usually able to get to the bottom of, like, at least who to ask about these problems. Now, if you can't solve it yourself, then you can take the step of actually, filing like a bug report and seeing if something is actually broken. But I find that like 80%, 90% of the time, someone has already had this problem. It's incredibly similar to yours, and it's worth looking to see if somebody has had the exact same error message and posted it in Stack Exchange or something like that.
Honestly,
and failing that, look in the community of the Parrot Security OS. Like they have a really great community. I would ask in their forums because they probably have the most experts and will get you the fastest response.
Honestly, like anytime I ever have a problem with the computer, especially if I get an error code or anything, I just copy and paste it into Google, and I usually find something on Stack Overflow about it.
Oh, wait, here's something. Joseph, Kody, you're awesome. I OSINT you. I got massive results. I don't like that, please. So, like, inevitably, people are going to, like, flex and, like, use the OSINT tools I teach to, like, research different people, and sometimes it'll be me. If you do so, it's a little bit creepy, and I don't appreciate it, but at least don't share it with me, because, like, I already know all of that information, and confirming it really doesn't, like, make me want to continue sharing as much. So, like, we already, like, take a couple common sense steps to make sure that we're not like leaking a ton of information. But please, I'm not happy or impressed if you're like leaking information about me I already know. I'm glad you're using the tools. Use them on Kanye West or something. The man wants attention. I do not. We're just trying to teach you guys tools and have a great time. So just keep that in mind also if you're going on a hot date and like you look them up on OSINT and you're like really proud of yourself.
Pro tip, don't tell them you
literally
looked them up.
Nobody likes that. Nobody is impressed. Everyone's like, oh, gross. And they just like
additional pro tip.
else.
Also, don't use the information you find from that to know things that you shouldn't know on that date. Because they pick up on those things. Okay, so where can I get super cool stickers like yours?
Hey, okay, cool. So that's a great question. So I find that a hacker's stickers let other people in the community let you know what you're into. So as you can see, I really like German hacking conferences. I like being part of like community projects. This was a really cool community project I was a part of that made badges. This is our sticker for our company, as well as this one. I'm all like inverted. This is from a hackerspace in Norway. So like I basically pick these up mostly at hacking conferences and then also from places where I buy stuff. So a lot of ours you can buy from our store. If you want to find it, you can go to hack.gay, but it's also at hackerinterchange.com. So if you want to re-up on these, we always throw in a bunch of like extra stickers, like if you guys are interested. But primary place to go for free versions of these hacker spaces and hacker conferences kind of sucks.
I would say
now.
Hacker conferences, but like obviously that's not really a thing right now. But yeah, you can go around the booths and pick up 1 million of these for free.
Yeah, if you want the chicken, then you can go to Spacehoon's site as well. You might notice the chicken on a lot of people's stuff. It's because a lot of people like Spacehoon's work.
Okay, so where can I find a mentor?
That's harder. So a mentor is generally someone who has time for you. So like it needs to be somebody who can respond to your questions and is a little bit understanding
Mm-hmm.
what you're going through in terms of your career path. So for me, one thing that I've done successfully is I found other people who are in the job that I want to be in, and then I use my OSINT skills to send them a very short, very concise, non-creepy message where I'm just like, hey, I'm really looking into getting into what you're doing. Like, I'm super passionate about it, and these are the steps I've already taken. Like, what else could I do? Like, is there any advice that you have? And would you be up for getting coffee sometime? Of course, now it kind of has to be virtual, but like, I've used that a couple times just as a way of finding someone who's getting everything right and just asking them like, hey, like, I want to be in the position that you're in someday. Like, I'm already on that path. Like, what else can I do? Because like, I think you're doing great. And like, if I'm looking for a model of success, like, you seem to be a great example. Like, first of all, people like to be flattered. Second, like, I've actually found that this really works. And third, not a lot of people do it. I personally have gotten very few of these that are feasible. Most of the requests I get are like kind of the kinds of things where I understand that if I don't continue to reply to this person because I get busy, because I'm very busy, they'll get very offended and upset, and that's not a very good relationship. So but you know, an hour of my time for some advice or something, like, not saying don't flood me with that, but like, if you
Everyone message Kody on Twitter.
yeah, if you're starting a YouTube channel or doing something similar to what I do, and you want to know like, hey, like, what can I do from my point to yours, I'd be happy to give most people like some advice on that. And most cybersecurity professionals feel the same way. So if there's a red teamer, if there's somebody who you really admire, like, that's in the field doing great research. I kind of did this with Matthew Van Hoff, like back when before I really knew him through Twitter. I sent him a message being like, hey, I don't know a lot about Wi-Fi hacking, but I'm really impressed by the work that you do, and I would love to, get into it. Like, what could I do? And I ended up getting to meet him. So, like, that's the kind of stuff that for me has really paid off.
That would kind of generally be my recommendation too. Is just go on Google Scholar or Google and find some papers and researchers, and then you can message them and be like, hey, I'm really into your research, because any researcher is going to love to hear that someone's reading their research and trying to apply it and stuff. But here's a question that I would like to try to tackle. It's one we get semi-often, but he's asking for details. What laptop do you guys recommend, and what minimal specs? I heard you saying that a GPU is most important. I thought CPU was more important. Can you elaborate? Okay, as far as GPU versus CPU, it really just depends on like what your workload is. When I said GPU is most important, primarily what I'm talking about is for people who are doing a lot of like password hashing and cracking and stuff like that. A lot of those programs can work with GPU acceleration. So for those people, it's great. But when I'm talking about a GPU being better like that, I'm mostly talking about for like a desktop build. As far as a laptop, I mean, sure, you can do some cracking on it, but really you should offload it to a purpose-built server somewhere, whether that's in the cloud or at your home. Laptops we like are like the Dell XPS 13 and 15
I'm
developer
sorry,
editions.
you guys are too much in the comments. Joseph, I forgive you. Please stop dumping information about me, but I forgive you.
But
I know I look mysterious.
Yeah, and just closing that out, CPU, get a Ryzen CPU if you're building a desktop. They've been stomping on Intel lately. Just think about the types of programs you're running. If you're running a lot of stuff that works really well in parallel and uses multiple threads and all that, get a higher core count, higher thread count, Ryzen CPU, and you'll be golden.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot more than I know. I just know you need at least a Raspberry Pi or a Raspberry Pi 0W. You got that?
Honestly, like,
then you can
look,
run Kali Linux.
if you want to try
but
hacking,
for me,
great.
my use case is I might want to stick one of those in like a light bulb or something, and then like put it somewhere, and I need it to be super small. So for me, a hacking computer only needs to be exactly as powerful as you need it to be for your use case. If you want to have some like big thing like Rohoblum, like Michael's giant desktop computer over here,
what we're streaming on currently.
yeah, what we're streaming on, then like you
somewhere.
can, but like good luck. He has to lug it upstairs and downstairs, so he can like play games upstairs and we can like stream downstairs, and it is heavy and big. I would rather carry a little Raspberry Pi unless I need it for something like that.
Yeah.
So, also, I love this question. What do you think about the election hacking? So what do you think about the upcoming election and possible hacking?
How political am I allowed to get on this stream?
Don't.
Okay, I won't mention any candidates or anything, but certainly there are foreign state actors attempting to intervene in our elections. You can actually go back, I think, EnigmaCon, like 2017 or 2018. There was a really good talk by an Irish guy who was talking about how easy it is to run these social media disinformation campaigns. For basically about $10,000 to $15,000 in ads, you can run a disinformation campaign and get fake news out there. And you can do it so thoroughly that people like me or Kody, who might do a little more investigation, will struggle to find the truth. Because you add layers of depth and fake news articles and stuff like that, so that people that do their due diligence and do Google it will find collaborating stuff. Then you have bots that go in and make comments, but you don't make all the comments purely in the direction you want them. You make 10 to 20% of them in the other direction so that it looks more realistic. There's all these complicated things you can do. I'll try to link to that talk when I do the chapters for this video.
One question we got was, how many 3D printed Terminator pumpkins have I printed? Could we switch to my screen for a second?
Yes. Which one's your screen?
So for Halloween, I've decided to make a couple 3D printed pumpkins that are these adorable Terminators, which I think are, as I said, very cute.
Horrifying.
Yeah, and like wet for some reason.
Pumkinators, you mean?
Yeah, Pumkinators. So if you want to make these yourselves, you can just 3D print and you have a 3D printer. You can 3D print these pumpkin legs and then a Terminator skull, and just.
You know,
There you go.
We're far enough north that we have snow in October. It would be great to just have that like climbing up a snow mound in our front yard for Halloween.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I have printed 2 of them. All right, let's go back.
Oh, that is.
So for my part for the election hacking, I watched a couple of really, really good things on disinformation campaigns, how they're excessively targeted, how they're so successful, and how nation states are getting into the game of influencing opinion by using the mechanisms we in the United States have built for money to flow. So nowadays, you can spend money to do micro-targeting and be able to put hyper-targeted messages in front of basically, the only people that are receptive to them. That would be so divisive and so crazy, you could never put them on TV. You could never put them in front of the mass media because these things are crazy. They play on conspiracy theories. They bring out the worst of people. And the only reason they work is that we've built the mechanisms to find the exact people who will be influenced by this propaganda. So right now, we're at a crossroads where we've never had these mechanisms before. We've never been able to connect people to propaganda that's tailored for them in this way. So the full realization of this technology is a real danger to democracy. And right now, people are very much under the burden of having to know what is a disinformation campaign, what is something that is deliberately put out to target people and make them feel a certain way, and what is legitimate news. Because nowadays the media isn't doing a good job anymore of doing their due diligence all the time. And a lot of the time you will see stuff that's sent directly to you before you see it, in the mainstream media, because a lot of this stuff is unverified. Some of it is photos that have been taken years before that are recaptioned, and
deep fakes.
And there's also deep fakes. So it's just a very perilous time to establish what is real. And if you can't establish reality that everybody can agree on, democracy is a very dangerous and very difficult thing to do when nobody can agree on the baseline of what is real, and that is what we're being faced with in this election.
And before we get too doom and gloomy, though, on the positive side of that, there is research by Google where they were actually de-radicalizing radical extremists. And essentially what they were doing is they were using Google ads and YouTube ads and various targeting methods like that to redirect people that were going to, I believe at the time it was ISIS. So they were targeting people who were wanting to join ISIS and redirecting them to videos and information that would help de-radicalize them. And so that is a thing that some of this technology enables.
This is a great question.
Okay, real quick to finish that thought out, just a fun thing is Google offers I think it's tens of thousands of dollars in free ad credits to nonprofits, 501(c)(3)s. So if someone were to start a nonprofit, they could use all that ad money to de-radicalize people. Just throwing that idea out there. Anyway, continue.
Okay, so Bettercap versus AircrackNG to audit Wi-Fi networks. Those are two really powerful, really awesome tools. AircrackNG is the old school, like everybody learns it, it's very reliable, but it has a limitation most of the time. I don't think it's been updated yet. In order to capture a handshake from a network that doesn't have another device on it, you basically just have to wait. You can't do it.
Yeah, you need traffic.
So Bettercap integrates a new innovation where you can get the PMKID, which allows you to crack the network handshake even if there's nobody connected, if the network's vulnerable. So for that alone, my vote would go to Bettercap. Also because once you're in the network, Bettercap offers easy things like ARP spoofing, DNS spoofing, and all sorts of other like creepy stuff. I find that Bettercap is a little erratic sometimes, like it doesn't always work as advertised, but it does a ton more stuff and it's very robust when it comes to wireless hacking. So my vote would go with Bettercap, even though if you're going for reliability and teachability, I would have to say AircrackNG. I love that question.
Not really on topic precisely, but what do you think about game streaming? I smell vulnerabilities. I mean, certainly stream sniping is a thing where people like watch other gamers stream and then like, you know, get them in the game. But as far as vulnerabilities, I don't know a lot about vulnerabilities just from streaming. Games do interesting things like stenography within the game, so that if you take a screenshot and you are cheating, they can actually decompose that image into a unique identifier to tell whose account you were playing on. I don't know who all does that, but I know of some games doing that.
Okay, one question is, can you recommend any cool null byte writers like you? Yes, we
yes,
can, because I
Hoyd.
hired them. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I hired him too. So I got to be the person who hired null byte writers for like a year and a half or so at Nullbyte, and I hired a bunch of really, really good ones. Some of them have moved on to other jobs where they don't really write anymore, like Ian, but most of them actually still do write. So Nick is a good writer. Michael's a good writer who doesn't write anymore, so I don't know.
Yeah,
why
I haven't written in like a year or two.
Yeah, so he's not active, but one of my favorite writers is Tokyo Neon. He puts out some of the best stuff, and he's also going to be writing with us on at Varonis. So I'm really, really excited about that because Tokyo Neon's articles were always some of my favorite to edit when we were working together at Nullbyte right before I left. So it's really exciting to get to work with him again, and hopefully you guys will get to see some new crazy stuff that he comes out with because I really like his work.
Okay, how can I find word lists and names from certain languages for cracking?
Oh, it's better to construct those.
Yeah.
So if you have, I mean, there will be word lists on like GitHub for most languages, but then using tools to enumerate that list and make it more thorough, like, can you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would just start with like the 10 million most popular passwords because that's going to include most languages, I assume. But then you would have to start making custom word lists. So you could take like the dictionary for that given language, and then you could, add characters and stuff on that. There's a tool called the Mentalist. Kody did an article on that on Nullbyte. That's a pretty good option for that. If you just look up Nullbyte and word list, you should be able to find several articles on creating custom word lists. We'll also be doing a live stream on that in the nearish future.
People keep asking about Kali NetHunter. I haven't been brave enough to put it on any of my devices yet, but I also just bricked my Pixel, so maybe I will because I need to get a new phone or a replacement anyway. I might just get a trash phone in between, and when I get my Pixel back, I might just throw Kali NetHunter
You're
on it.
literally going to get your Pixel in like 2 days.
No, I won't. No, I won't. Yeah, as I said, we moved away from Southern California, so the closest place I can bring it in for same-day service is 190 miles away through the snow.
Do you want to do some more of the comments from the videos?
Sure, throw one up. Although there's so many good questions here. By the way, thank you guys for just asking us so many good live questions. It's so much fun to answer them, especially when they're like really close calls, like Bettercap versus AircrackNG. Like I had to think about that.
Will it work with the Raspberry Pi 4? I don't.
So the context is kind of in the thumbnail. So that was for the top. I believe it was. Oh my gosh, actually,
I can't. It's too far away.
It's too small.
Oh,
Wi-Fi hacking. Duh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so basically the Wi-Fi chip changed in the Raspberry Pi 4, and it's supposed to be supported, but I find that a lot of people have just told me that it's not working very well for them. So if you want the most stable platform, I still recommend the Raspberry Pi 3B Plus.
Okay.
The reason I recommend the 3B Plus is you get 5 gigahertz, so you can hack in 5 gigahertz, you can hack in 2.4 gigahertz, and it's a really, really easy, cheap way to get started with a wireless card that's extremely well supported, whereas the Raspberry Pi is like almost still being kind of figured out by the hacking community.
Yeah. Let's do one more. Where did you buy the unidirectional antenna?
Yeah, so we have two really strong directional antennas, and that is a parabolic grid, which we got from Alpha Wireless, and that it's huge. It looks like we killed a wireless beast when it's hanging.
It's
on
literally
the wall.
like the size of this table.
Yeah, it's massive. But we were able to get like an insane amount of range out of it. And then we also have a Yagi antenna from Simple Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And the Simple Wi-Fi one is like an enclosed tube, so it's like ready to be mounted outdoors. It's 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, which is super cool. And I believe it was a little bit cheaper. But we got both of them as samples.
If you're looking to buy one, Yagi is generally what I recommend. You're going to get basically
it's much more compact.
A 30-degree cone in front of you. A parabolic antenna, like unless you're targeting something like a mile away, it's going to be useless. It's like a 1 or 2 degree cone.
Michael, what area of hacking is your specialty?
I get asked this, and I don't know how to describe it easily. I guess I'm into video game hacking and like analyzing big data, and like because originally how I got into hacking was I wanted to see like, you know, everyone talks about Big Brother and stuff like that. Like, how easy would it actually be to write some software like that or do something like that? So I wrote a program, and I was like, okay, this is actually kind of scarily easy. You know, you can just harvest other people's API data and then combine it in ways they weren't anticipating to learn a lot about individuals. So I guess in some ways you could say like OSINT or something like that.
Okay, I'm going to go. So for me, my area of specialty with hacking is
Wi-Fi hacking.
OSINT. And first, I used to do business intelligence, so I would be hired by like an investor or someone who was looking to like put a bunch of money in something to go and do all the analysis of other competitors and like tell them about like what they should do in the market, what other people were spending money on. So I learned a lot about data, about research, about managing other people on teams for research, and then I also learned just independently about Wi-Fi hacking, which I've continued with. So yes, also Wi-Fi hacking. So since then, I've also learned a fair amount about Python, a fair amount about Linux, Bash. Like I've kind of filled in that gap also with Internet of Things kind of programming with Arduino and MicroPython.
Yeah, it's kind of same here. For my OSINT research, I used a lot of Python. So that's basically how I taught myself Python. And then a lot of like Raspberry Pi projects, just because that's more on the maker side of things. But like, you know, originally I was an aerospace engineering student, so I was really interested in like what would sort of be described as like mechatronics, or combining mechanical and electrical systems to do things.
Oh yeah, also someone shouts out that Cyber Mentor is giving out free courses. We like him, so yeah, that guy's cool.
We should try to do a collab.
Yeah, I think we spoke to him a couple times about it. We're just both really busy, but I mean, if you guys would like to see that, let us know. What is reverse engineering? I can't understand it. It's just ones and zeros moving to pockets. Heart. Aw, thank you for the heart. Also the question. So reverse engineering is super cool. I don't do it myself, but some of my friends do, such as Marcus and also our friend Brandon, who was on the stream. I've been trying to get him to come and show how to do reverse engineering with Ghidra on something very basic. And also we've done a little bit of reverse engineering of like Arduino binaries and stuff like that, just to show how it works. It's pretty cool. You're basically just reversing the compiled binary back into something that a programmer can understand. If you can understand machine code or assembly, then great. If not, then there are programs like Ghidra that allow you to put it back into the code it was written in, and that allows you to figure out what it was doing.
Okay, I have a question that you're going to love.
Great.
Do you guys do drone hacking? If so, what drones do you use?
Please send us a drone. I will put it in a P.O. box, and you guys can... maybe I should just make a GoFundMe, and we'll buy a drone.
He has this fantasy of building a very particular drone. I don't know if he wants to elaborate on that.
I don't talk about your secret projects on the stream. No?
So we definitely want to get more into using drones for various types of hacking and OSINT, I guess. But we just really haven't had the time to pursue.
More like SIGINT. I don't think that the drone is going to be like accessing the library and like reading through their databases.
Yeah, that is
it's
true.
It's going to be like recording signals from a high platform. But yeah, so there's some really great stuff like Skyjack that I've really wanted to try, where it's basically it turns a Raspberry Pi Zero W into like an electronic warfare platform, where it'll kick another drone off of its Wi-Fi network if it uses 2.4 gigahertz, which a lot of drones do, and take control of it and then fly it through the interface. So you can basically just make the other drone a zombie and fly it away.
Oh yeah, like the thing I've
But
really
those drones cost like $1,000. So if you
yeah.
guys want us to do it, I'm all for it. But
yeah.
we might need to.
The thing
on
I've
that
really
one.
wanted to do is basically like taking an RC airplane and putting Autopilot on it, so Arduino Autopilot on it, and then just using it as like a war driving airplane, basically.
Zam has also offered up a Nexus 6P to put Net Hunter on. We have people in Los Angeles. Our people will get in touch with your people.
Oh my god, mysterious. Do you want me to do another comment?
Snow on the ground. Are you in Iowa? We're in a plane above Iowa.
C-130.
Kody messaged me on Twitter because I have a lot to tell you. Okay, I will.
Okay, yeah. I'm just
Actually, I probably won't. We have a lot of stuff to do today. Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, not sure, but this might be illegal or used for illegal purposes. Just saying.
Yeah, so this was put on our YouTube channel. Yes, just like anything else related to computer security, if you really wanted to, you could take these skills, practice them over and over and over, get good at them, and use them for evil. I encourage you not to do that, but unfortunately we can't not teach cybersecurity to people just because knowledge of cybersecurity could allow people to find and exploit vulnerabilities. That's actually the point. So every time we get comments like this, I'm like, yes, I know.
There you go, Zam. There, that's the shirt. It's a
Veronis
shirt.
He's wearing a proper Veronis shirt. I've got the Veronis hat. He's got the Right to Be Forgotten shirt.
Yeah.
This is not a Veronis shirt, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. What if I zip the folder? Will it still can affect the zipped folder? If it does, what if I rename the ransomware extension?
Okay, so this was on our ransomware video, and the question was basically, can you still ransomware a zip file? Unfortunately, yes. So the way this works is it basically takes the binary of any file and just completely scrambles it, and then keeps the key for itself. So even if you had even if you did some .zip file trickery, it wouldn't help you.
Yeah.
However, the one thing zip files will do for you is if you put like a malicious file and have it like packed multiple times. So like there's just like one thing that unpacks like another malicious file. That malicious file, if it's packed through enough different layers of zipping, actually usually can't be detected by common types of virus scanners, which I think is really stupid, but also cool.
Yeah. Have you ever done OSINT on crypto wallet transactions? I'm curious how cyber criminals aren't caught since the transactions are tracked. Okay, I can talk about that somewhat. I was actually working on an article for that for Null, but it got denied because it was too crypto-y, I guess. So you are correct with Bitcoin. It is very easy to track those transactions. I don't remember the name of the tools, but if you just Google it, you'll find one on GitHub.
We can do it through Maltego as well.
Yeah,
so we can track Bitcoin transactions through Maltego. It's really really
and
cool.
if you want some examples of that being used in the real world, look up the DEF CON talk about how one of the FBI agents got caught. Basically, I guess the term would be embezzling money. Like essentially, they were catching these criminals. And he was taking their Bitcoin and then sending it to his own personal Bitcoin wallet. And he tried to be sneaky and send it like through 2 or 3 wallets. But like you said, since it's a public blockchain, all those transactions are traceable. They were easily able to discover him a couple years later and lock him up for it.
Very funny.
Now, on the privacy side of it, there are things like Monero and other privacy-focused coins. And that means that you can see like your transactions, but other people can't see your transactions. That's much more secure, and that generally what criminals will do is they'll either use a privacy-focused coin like Monero. There are ways to obtain Bitcoin anonymously, so you can track it, but you can buy it from someone in cash, and as long as that person never rats you out, then you're never associated with that Bitcoin. Because the real problem with Bitcoin is you've got to get it somehow, and usually that involves real-world money to Bitcoin, and that's where you break your identity trust.
Well, the question was, how do criminals not get caught when they're trying to like cash out?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So essentially, the problem is that breach. So as long as you stay within Bitcoin, you're technically all right. It depends on how much scrutiny you're under, right? Like, Also, there are the Bitcoin pools. So basically, it's like a big amount of Bitcoin. Everyone puts their Bitcoin in.
They're
and then
called tumblers, and the first
Tumbler.
one was
Yeah.
indicted today.
Yeah,
today.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So and there's statistical models on how even those on like how to track like how dirty each Bitcoin is. So honestly, like privacy focused coins are the way. Like to do. What was the question?
That criminals get away with crimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
that just seems like
maybe.
a long explanation on how to join them, but okay, thanks.
Okay.
So a question for Michael, although let's keep this one short. Is any thoughts or insights in groups that crack games like Codex? And one thing I'll say before passing it off is that's the Chinese government. The number one way that people get infected with malware is cracked games and cracked software.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Because guess who?
Really
Guess who
risky.
has like the people with the skills to crack that software and games and then offer it for free on the internet, and huge motivation to do stuff like watering hole attacks where they just try to get a bunch of people and see if any one of them is important. The Chinese.
So what was the other half of that question?
What do you think? What are your thoughts or insights in groups that crack games at Codex?
Yeah, honestly, I don't have a lot to say about that. I'm not that knowledgeable there. Most of my experience is basically using games that already have like modding capabilities, and then I just use mods that aren't allowed, and then also like botting on games like old school RuneScape. Many of the botting clients have Java APIs, and so it's just a matter of knowing some Java or knowing someone that knows some Java.
Yep.
Did you have another question, or you want me to do a comment?
Oh, there's lots. So have we ever done OSINT and crypto wallet transactions? We kind of just answered that. Oh no, wait,
Yeah.
that was the beginning.
Yeah,
and
that
I
was
was
the
going to
one
say check out Maltego because they have some free transforms that do that. There was one question. Oh, also hi to South Africa.
Yeah. I will do another one.
Sure.
Keep up the great work. What happened to Null Byte, though?
Yeah, so we are not doing any new Null Byte episodes until the end of the year, just because we're focusing on this show. They've got so much of our content over there that it's literally just like a huge pile of content.
Yeah.
You're gonna see like us like switching in backgrounds.
A lot of
like,
teleporting.
You're gonna see my hair at like various lengths and stuff. Just because like they need to like close out that season,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna figure out what's
I
happening
think like
for the next
last
season.
week they posted a video that was like a year old.
Yeah. So like,
Or
they've
at least
still-
a year since we recorded it.
So they still have lots of content over at Nullbyte that you guys haven't seen yet. So they're going to finish those out. We're going to figure out what the next season looks like. And we're also pouring tons of energy into this channel to bring you guys stuff every week, multiple times a week, which is actually really hard because a lot of the time the stuff doesn't work and we can't shoot that.
Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's a lot harder. These Q&As probably the easiest.
Or at least the most fun.
Yeah, the most fun. Okay, did you have another?
Yeah, so how Wi-Fi gets hacked with the PixieDust attack. So the PixieDust attack is really, really cool, and I want to mention it because if people don't know about it, then it's something that they can do that's very, very simple to secure their router at home or at work. So the PixieDust attack relies on some really bad randomization that was implemented in a feature for ease and just people being able to reconnect to their Wi-Fi network if they forget their password. This is called the WPS setup pin. It's an option in most commercial routers that you will be able to buy, and you should always have it disabled. Because in a lot of them, the randomization that is implemented means that an attacker running Kali Linux and something like, I would say like AirGetIn is the easiest implementation I know of, will be able to break into your router in about 15 seconds. And if you change your password, it'll take them less than 15, maybe 1 second to break back in. And you basically just have to buy a new router, unless it allows you to change the WPS setup pin, and then it might take another 15 seconds for them to break in. So this fundamentally breaks the security of a lot of routers. So if yours is vulnerable, then you should not only disable WPS, but probably get a different router. But at the very minimum, you should disable the WPS setup pin. It serves no useful function. It is a huge security hole and vulnerability, and it's the most simple thing you can do to make your router at home safe. So that's a good question.
What mic do we use? We use a Zoom H5 mic.
Yeah.
A shotgun attachment.
So we've gotten a lot of mileage out of this thing. We started with it back when we were doing Nullbyte episodes, attached to like a lavalier and stuff, but we just on a very sketchy boom stand have a little H5 up there, and it served us very well. It's very modular, and if you're just getting started, like doing podcasting or anything like that, rather than getting the condenser mic, an alternative is just having a nice mic like that up there.
Yeah, and if y'all are more interested in our setup, let us know, and I can try to convince Kody to let me do a live stream on our streaming setup.
Oh, and to ask us a question, Zashawn, just put it in the chat.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They're usually when people ask questions like that, they're meaning like, how can I ask you a question that I'm not willing to put in a public place?
Think long and hard about what channel you would ask that on.
Yeah.
So here's a question from Steve. Would it be possible to put a Raspberry Pi on a drone where it would be able to jam certain frequencies or open a phishing website on its hotspot login page? Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to create a drone and just have it loiter over in a circle and have like an angled, pointed down, like directional antenna, you could basically like kick everybody off of like a Starbucks. I'm not saying do this, or some coffee shop. Everybody off of like a open coffee shop Wi-Fi network, connect them back to the drone. And if it had a cellular link, you would be providing basically data to everybody inside the coffee shop. They would think they were on the normal network, but you would be able to see and manipulate all their traffic. And you can do that pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, the only word of caution I would have there as like a former aerospace engineering student is like size and weight constraints. Because if you're going to be really close to the target, then you can have like a smaller drone doing stuff like that. But generally, radio equipment is going to be heavier and more cumbersome and going to use up a lot of your batteries real fast. And then also you're dealing with the inverse square law. So the farther away you are, the cube of that power is getting to the actual target. So you really need to either have a small drone that is really, really close or a larger drone that's farther away.
Yes, as Michael points out, the drone does have to fly.
Yeah.
All right. How did you guys learn your knowledge? It feels like there's no way I can be as good as you. Any advice? We're just nerds. Like, if you are a nerd and you're willing to put in the time and energy to research stuff, and you also pick your sources carefully, you can't just like research and just like read random stuff. Like, you need to pick good sources in order to do your research. But if you are a big enough nerd to spend your free time learning about stuff like this, you will get to this level about something. It might not be the exact same stuff that myself or Michael are good at, but the big thing about nerds is like they spend extra time learning about stuff that other people hate to learn about because it's annoying to them. So that's really the only thing. Like, I will stay up reading like papers by Matthew Van Hoff and be like, how is this real? Then I'll go off and try it myself and be like, oh, it's real. And I just gain two skills: the knowledge that this exists, and then the knowledge of how to do it. And that really is the process for being able to jump on a topic that's as big as hacking. It's like taking little bites out of it.
For me, the biggest thing there is really just be curious, right? Like, I think most of my knowledge comes from the better part of 2 decades spent on YouTube. Every time I'm curious about something, looking up a video, and then not just stopping there, like diving deep into like the research papers and videos made by postdocs and various like people that are really at the cutting and bleeding edge of technology.
So Zam asks, are you guys still seeing Emotet on the rise? It seems to be accelerating even more in the last 2 weeks. Yes. So Veronis has been seeing Emotet on the rise. We've done a series of different briefings on it. I think there's now like a threat update that's either up or coming out very soon on the Veronis channel about it. But yes, there's been a lot of it lately, and there's also been just a lot of like InfoSec news about vulnerabilities coming out and things being actively exploited. So yes, it's very, very active, and we're seeing a lot, especially leading up to the election. It seems like there's a lot of activity, which is pretty crazy. Another question is, how real is Watch Dogs Legion? And I haven't played it myself, but I know that one of the writers I used to work with, who went by Allegiance on Null Byte, actually made a Raspberry Pi image based on Watch Dogs and really, really liked it. And I've heard that it's actually pretty accurate. So if you want to check it out, the article is The Sonic, and it's for the Raspberry Pi. And it allows you to just do a bunch of really cool network stuff and have an easy interface to interact with on it. So I was really impressed by that, and the fact it was inspired by Watch Dogs was really cool.
And going back to the threat thing, I'm going to go to my screen real quick. And so, yeah, these threat updates on the Veronis channel, definitely something y'all should check out if you're interested in, like, what attacks like large Fortune 500 companies are experiencing on a daily basis, like right now, this week, or currently. So yeah, just check that out. Don't forget to subscribe. But yeah,
we also have the question that they don't have any they can't go to any security conferences to get stickers, and they probably won't be able to for months more. Would we consider doing a sticker giveaway? Well, yeah, probably.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
so
actually-
for all of our classes that we teach, if you ever like do one of our workshops, all of our stuff on our store, we also include stickers. Just hint, hint.
Yeah.
But we could definitely probably also do a giveaway at some point because
Alright.
we're going to start working with Wordlist to start giving
Yeah.
away stuff like shirts and hats
Like
and stuff like
this,
that on the
or-
stream.
or that
so,
hat.
Yeah. So as we do these, if you guys have lots of great questions, we'll probably just pick someone at the end of the stream, and then you guys will get a prize because why not? And also, there's so many of you now; it just makes sense to do something to thank you guys for spending time with us so often. So yeah.
Maybe at the end of the stream we'll find someone and give some swag away. And that's something I want to start instituting.
I don't
in
even know how
future
to
live streams.
authorize yet that.
Yeah.
So let's not make
In
any
the
promises.
future,
But
in the near
next
future.
stream
Yeah.
we can start giving some stuff away.
Okay.
So thanks for the reminder because we've been meaning to do that, and now that we have so many more people to stream, it makes sense.
Yeah.
How useful is Burp Suite for web apps?
Dude.
Have you ever used Burp Suite? For real? Okay, yeah. Burp Suite is very useful.
I'm a lame hacker.
He likes to use Postman.
Yeah, for like API reversing and stuff, I really like using Postman because it's just super easy to go to a web page or an app or something like that and pull in the API call and then start looking at how it's working. And then also Postman will generate the code for you, so you can pop that into Python or any other language that you might be using, and it really gets you started fast, especially when you're kind of reverse engineering APIs, which is often what I find myself doing.
So personally, I have used Burp Suite successfully. I find it to be like Wireshark. There is kind of a steep learning curve where like initially it just feels super clunky,
Yeah.
and unless you know the entire process of what you're doing, like with a really good walkthrough, it for beginners anyway,
Right.
I find it to be kind of
Yeah, I'm pretty
cumbersome.
sure Burp Suite is more powerful than Postman.
Yeah, because it's
Like,
more
a
meant
lot
for
more
hacking
powerful.
stuff. But no, I really recommend Burp Suite. But again, you really need like a good class or like something else to help follow along because otherwise, it's like when you first open Wireshark, you're just there's so many buttons
Yeah.
and switches. You're just
Steep
like your
learning
eyes
curve.
get huge.
Yeah. Kid size, please. Okay. Yes, we'll work on getting giveaways going. No problem.
Oh, how secure is an HTML only website?
Not secure.
So we've come across so many different reasons why HTML websites are a bad idea. Okay, and of course, it depends on what you want to do. Like most websites are trying to like serve some sort of function that's not just like inputting, outputting text. So if you just have something that's just like putting up, just like text, that's fine. But like most websites can't function like that. So trying to like downscale like something to just a horrible user experience that no one wants to use, because like you don't want to use any modern web technologies is like it makes things difficult. But again, if you're just making like a simple website, then it's fine. I wouldn't tell people like don't use JavaScript like for your website that's going up that a lot of people are going to be using, like because a lot of things just like you can't solve the problem in many other ways.
Have you ever done Hack the Box?
Oh, I haven't. But
Shameful.
I know, but
Shame.
I don't. Yeah, I know.
Shame.
Have you?
Yes, I have made an account.
All right then. Yeah. So
Shame.
a little bit outside my wheelhouse, just because honestly I haven't had time and I'm not that into web app hacking. But I have heard really good things about Hack the Box. So, well, actually, wait, Hack the Box. There's
That's like CTF website.
Yeah, okay. There's also like a separate thing that is like a delivery service that gives you hacking stuff, but that's not what I'm talking
No,
about.
that is not that.
And I'm assuming that's not what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I mean, we can look at doing some more of those like CTF style like live streams where we just do one the entire way through. That'd be pretty cool. Let us know if y'all are interested in that. We might need to develop some of our skill sets a little for that particular stuff. But yeah.
Dead Skull. Can I hack stuff with my smartwatch? So I have been talking to
There's a
Stefan
deal for
about
watch.
all the. Well, yes. Oh yeah. So we do like for example, there is a D-Author smartwatch, which is really cool. It is just an ESP8266 with like a watch on top of it, and of course you have to charge it like a smartwatch and everything. But so that's one way that you can hack with a smartwatch. Another way is if you already have a smartwatch. Stefan and I are talking about the new ESP32S, which has all sorts of cool stuff, but also has Bluetooth, and we might be able to do some cool hacking stuff. So the Bluetooth would allow you to link things like a smartwatch to it to be able to control a device that does have the freedom to start attacking stuff and doing other things. Now, your watch could probably like join a network and control IoT devices. That would just need to be written for it, but I haven't seen any implementations yet of that. Although theoretically, you could just like take over control of like Spotify and like other stuff on the network.
How to gather more information just from a phone number? OSINT tips?
Phone and Foga is the thing that immediately comes to mind.
I think that is the one that's not working right now.
I'm not sure, but that's the first one I used. But generally, I like to use the OSINT framework. So if you guys don't know what that is, let me look it up really quick.
Oh yeah, and while you're showing or getting that pulled up.
It's ready.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Okay. So the OSINT framework is a great place to start for any OSINT investigation. It's not very fancy, and everything's just kind of spelled out. So if you're looking for phone numbers, for example, then you can just go down until you see telephone numbers. Click here, and it gives you a list of stuff down from voicemail to international phone numbers, all the way through more like U.S.-based providers. And let's say like Truecaller, and a lot of these like won't work or like will require API keys. Some of them are outdated, but still, like it's a big long list of stuff you can do. So if I want to put a number in here, 888-555-555-5.
I'm pretty sure that's not a valid phone.
Who knows? We can search it and see it wants my stuff. So get out of here.
Yeah, that's
I'm
the
not
problem
giving
with
you,
a lot of these
I'm
tools
not
is
giving
they,
you
they
anything.
like demand that you pay them and stuff. Like back in the day, it was really, really easy to search phone numbers on Facebook. So everyone's phone number would be directly linked to their accounts. You could just put in the search bar their phone number, and it would pop up their Facebook account. Obviously, a great stepping stone for open source intelligence investigations. However, that doesn't work anymore. You have to be friends with the person.
Website's so much better
Now, before that will actually work.
Let's try all threes. Search by number. No records found. But anyway, you can see that like some of these sketchier looking ones, 1-800-333-333-333. I was hoping we'd find at least something. But anyway, you can see that there are these like phone finder things that'll do like a lookup for you, and there's lots more of them all in here. Some of them even have APIs. So if you are like a Python person, then you can see the different resources that are available for you to maybe plug in to this OSINT source.
Okay, let's see here. I think. Yeah. So someone was asking more information about the deauthor watch. I think we did a Null Byte video on that. I don't know if it is out yet. But yeah, they're pretty cheap. $30-$40. It's made by Stefan. I think.
Nope, wrong. It's not made by Stefan. So this is made by. So yeah. Here, I'm getting as close as I can.
Oh wait.
Oh, and you can also see it on the. No, it's fine.
Wait, wrong one.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
There we go.
So this is it. It's really cool. I have one. Stefan gave it to me. It goes like that. But it's not made by Stefan. This is actually made by Travis Lin in China.
Okay.
It runs the same software. So it has a little like interface on it. Guys, I think this is really, really cool. The only thing I don't like about it is I am so afraid of two components. One is the switch that goes up and down. It's kind of fragile. And two is this little screen. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so sure that I'm going to break this tiny screen. But from this interface, you can just slap this on and you can scan networks, you can identify targets, and you can attack them, provided you have permission. And it all works. It has a little battery built in. So this is my preferred, I guess, smart hacking watch of the moment because it can hack Wi-Fi. But right now I think there's no real advantage to running the newest version of the deauthor on this because it disables the screen basically. But you're able to plug this into a computer and then use it as basically a wireless network adapter.
I'm amazed that thing had battery left in it because we haven't used that in like forever.
Oh yeah, I think for a really long time.
Okay, but we are basically out of time. Wah, wah.
We are. So let's take one last question. All right, who's gonna get in the last question? It's not going to be about.
No, we can do.
It's not going to be about game modding. Sorry.
Yeah, we can do the last comment. Wait, no, we did do the last comment. So.
The name of our Udemy account. Just go to hack.gay. It's all there.
Yeah.
search for answers while backtracking. Man, you guys asked so many good questions. I think that was most... Oh, where to start learning OSINT. Okay, I guess that'll be the last one. And besides, Zishan has to go to algebra class, so
okay,
party's over.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you're just getting started learning OSINT, I really, really like Mike Bazell's series of books. I really like some of the training he does, and also he does a free podcast. So if you guys are cheap and don't want to spring for the books, then you can always listen in on the podcast, which go into detail about all these great new OSINT tools. I really want him to collaborate with us at some point because I think he's awesome and he knows a ton about OSINT. But his podcast is really, really good. You'll find it on his website, inteltechniques.com. And I think you guys will learn a lot about OSINT and the process of OSINT through that if you don't want to pick up the books, which are very, very good, and I highly recommend them. Oh, and what's the topic of the next stream? Wow, what a great question to go out on.
Yeah.
So what is that, Friday that we're doing?
That is Friday, the one, yeah.
Yeah. So on Friday, we're going to be taking my rat's nest of ESPs. Oh, here they are.
Oh yeah, you got it right there.
We're going to be taking these two ESP8266s and making a Wi-Fi target that you can safely and legally hack. And in fact, it's set up so that once you send it whatever Wi-Fi network name and password you want it to create, it'll continuously generate real Wi-Fi handshakes, so you can capture them in Wireshark and practice cracking a Wi-Fi password. So it means that you don't have to attack your neighbor's network, your school's network. For like $6 in components, you can just wire these two things together. Doesn't need to look horrible either. You can do it all nice. And you can have a safe and easy reactive Wi-Fi target to attack. So we did this at RSA, and it was really, really popular. We just set up 2 Raspberry Pis and then let random business people like learn to hack Wi-Fi and compete against each other, hacking a network that was created by this. So we're going to cover that in the next stream. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. How to instantly look like a hacker. Wear a hoodie and maybe take a crowbar to your computer, because like that's...
or you can, cat a binary on your laptop.
Oh, yeah. If you ever want to immediately convince your friends that you're a hacker, my favorite technique is to cat a binary file. It just makes your computer spit out a ton of nonsense and a bunch of noises. So, yeah, that's my advice. Definitely cat a binary file if you want to instantly look like a hacker.
Okay.
All right, guys. It's been super fun. If you want to check out more content like this, look at the Security Forward channel. We have lots of other good streams and Q&As there. Michael has been so kind as to put chapters in all of our stuff. So if you want to...
Most of them so far.
Most of our stuff. So if you want to go through and just skip to the parts that you're interested in, Michael has made it super easy to just go right to the spots that you want to see. So if you want to check out some previous Q&As and see if your questions have already been answered, or if you want to go through some of our other more technical streams, then you can always go back and do that. And yeah, thank you to everyone who shouted out some great questions.
There's a playlist for the Q&As. I will put that up in the corner.
Even the guy that dropped my details after his OSINT investigation in the chat. I forgive you, Joseph. I know you're just a kid. All right, guys, we will see you not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after for the next live Q&A stream. And then we'll see you on Friday for the premiere of the video we're doing on creating a reactive Wi-Fi hacking target. We will see you guys then. Bye.
Bye.